Hi again, everyone. I'm Olliemathews, and this is Societal Narcissism. And this video is sponsored by contribution from Freya, and here's her story. Hello, Ollie. Thanks for your channel. Of all the narcissist survivor channels on YouTube, I find yours the most realistic and therapeutic. My mother is a covert narcissist. Of course, she won't go into therapy or get a proper diagnosis because it's everyone else's fault, never hers. My father is a complete doormat and a pussy that does whatever she wants. My mother's actually been trying to get a mental health diagnosis on me since I was 5. This appears to have been a long-term strategy of hers that lasted almost 2 decades. She always dragged me into a psych ward. She also dragged me into a psych ward when I was 16 and tried to force me into it. Luckily, I had to sign the forms, which I refused to do, so that plan failed. You're lucky at 16 they didn't come out. I'm surprised at 16 they gave you the choice, unless they already had your mother spotted as one of these people trying to get their kids thrown into a nut hut. To say I despise this woman is an understatement. She is, hands down, the worst human being I have ever met. I know the feeling. We all know the feeling. On my good days, I'm indifferent to her, but my youngest brother is finally coming out of the brain fog at 33, and he is suicidal. His marriage just fell apart because he refused to go no contact with our parents, and his wife wanted no part of that anymore and wasn't going to bring kids into that situation. Watching him slowly drink himself to death is really triggering for me now, even though I've been no contact with those clowns for 10 years. But you're still in contact with your brother. And your brother, because he won't cut the fucking umbilical cord, obviously, to your mother, cost him his marriage. On the other hand, I would question who he married in the first place, because son husbands who can't cut the umbilical cord just marry different versions of their mother. That's all they do. They marry younger versions of their mother. That's the way it is. They don't find a polar opposite and then keep the umbilical cord connected. No. And listen, and his wife has whether she's a younger version of your mother or not, she has every fucking right not to have to compete with your mother for her entire life. So two things could be true at once. Yeah, it cost him his marriage, but you know what? The marriage was built on a fucked up relationship with his mother with your mother in the first place. Try to put that in some type of perspective. I don't know the girl. I don't know his ex-wife. You do, but I would bet good money she is nothing more than a younger version of your mother. That's how it happens with son husbands. When the male cannot cut the umbilical cord to the mother, they are just marrying a different version of their mother. Our mother is the most evil person I've ever met. This woman has literally been telling people she knows Jeffrey Dahmer since the 90s. Well, why would you brag about that? Why would you brag about that? But they don't care. People know who Jeffrey Dahmer is. It's fame, and they think they're going to get something off it. And the narcissist can't help themselves. She told my brother she sat next to Dahmer in the back of her classroom. She was a teacher. This was all bullshit and never happened. So she lies. That's creepy. So she has some weird fascination with a serial killer. My brother still thinks it's real because he's in denial about what a pathological liar she really is. My dad knows this is bullshit, I'm sure, but he's too big of a pussy to tell her to stop. That's a pretty traumatic story to tell your son, who would have been about 6 at the time, that he was sitting next to one of the country's most notorious serial killers and cannibals. Yeah. Kind of like, don't fear me. I survived being around this guy. And I'll tell you this about your father. I guarantee you, your father's mother is no different than your mother who he married, because your father is probably another pussy whipped son husband. She had me arrested on false assault charges when I was 16. I didn't assault her, she actually attacked me. The whole thing was a setup. How many of us have been there, done that? They go to hit you, you raise your hands to block it, they accuse you of hitting them. That story of my childhood. She's been riding the wave of pity, sympathy from this and other lies for the last 25 years. She slandered me to my entire family and the people at my school and anyone else who will listen. It's incredible how gullible these people are. But they love to feel superior, and believing these lies probably makes them feel better about themselves. It's just easier, and it's easier to go along with them than to confront her. Because who wants to deal with her wrath? This still bothers me, though, because I'm not a bad person. I'm actually very empathetic. I was being abused for a long time and did start to act out as a teenager and started drinking with my friends because living at home was such a nightmare. I was constantly walking on eggshells trying to avoid her. There's that term, the constant walking on eggshells, okay, not knowing what's going to set them off. And the eggshells usually lines up with a borderline personality disorder. But she had to pester me and constantly terrorize me, then play the victim. Yeah, this was my mother's deal. If you didn't play into what my mother wanted, she would just keep going and going and going until she got the reaction she needed to then play the victim. It's a direct, and understand something. Your mother's is borderline personality disorder behavior. Borderline mothers hate their daughters. They emasculate their sons and they destroy their daughters. It is the constant competition with their mother. Now, and I've said this many times, well, you're a male and you have the issues with your mother. I have the issues with both my parents. But understand something, and I've said this numerous times. My mother basically raised me as a daughter. She didn't dress me up or anything. In this day and age, I have no doubt, like I said, my mother would have me on hormone blockers and whatever else. Without question, 100 fucking percent. 100%. She treated me, raised me as a daughter in her behavior, the same way she would compete with me as if I was her daughter. And try to emasculate me at the same time. So, oh, God. I remember overhearing her telling my dad to kick my ass, which he did because targeting me would get her off his back all the time. And he goes right along with it because he is a whipped little son husband too, isn't he? Isn't he? One time when I was 16, it was 6 a.m., I was trying to get ready for school. She started a fight with me, and when I walked away, she pushed me down a flight of stairs. 15, 16, 17 is a very, very, very tough age to be the child of a borderline. Because that's when you're coming into your adulthood, you're getting your looks about you, you're getting your adult looks and your adult shape and your adult form, and you're starting to think a little bit differently. This is when the competition ratchets into high gear, because that's when that's the first time where they're really threatened by you. Oh my God, this person is going to be better than me, and they can't have that. Or they're going to leave me, or they're going to find something better than me, or they're going to finally tell me once and for all to go fuck myself. Those are some of the worst years to be around a borderline mother. The worst years. I would say 14 to 18 are the worst years. Was for me. And it seems like it is for a lot of the people who are writing into my channel. She used to tell my aunts and uncles this story, that when I was 3, I walked across a highway by myself. She was the victim in the story, and she was so terrified she couldn't come get me. My aunts just stared at her, but they never lifted a finger to help me in any way. Same deal. My mother told so many fucked up stories to my aunts and uncle, thinking it was funny, and that she would get dead stares back. Nobody would ever say it was fucked up. And because of it, she's laughing. She thinks everybody's just going along with it. My parents are generous with their boomer money. It's more of an IOU, and they tell everyone how great they are with loaning people money. It is their camouflage, I guess. Well, the boomer will use their money to manipulate. We know that. We know that. So, of course, they check off another box. Boomers. Boomer, borderline, money. She really can't see what a waste of space she is. She has totally wasted her life being a hateful nutcase. It still amazes me the amount of times this woman spent on planning ways to fuck me over. It was her hobby. It makes you wonder what they could have accomplished if they put that time and energy into themselves or into something productive, what they could have done. But unfortunately, their happiness is linked to your misery. It's that way with the borderline. It's that way with the baby boomer. The baby boomer, borderline's happiness is directly linked to your misery. That's what you're seeing. I mean, that's what you're seeing societally. That's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing worldwide. The country is burning. The world is on fire. And the boomers dance. Oh, it's not so bad. Oh, it's not. That's the society that has been created. So if she redirected something into making her happy, she wouldn't be as happy as she is making sure you're miserable. My parents are both boomers. They're in their mid-70s now. They're the most emotionally immature adults I've ever seen. It's pathetic and really gross. They admit nothing about what they did to us, even amid my brother's recent crisis. I sat them both down 25 years ago and told them to stop abusing us or there would be consequences with one of my brothers. That prediction has now come true, and they still admit nothing. And they never will. They never will. The only thing the boomer narcissist will ever admit to screwing, when in regards to screwing up your life and to doing long-term damage to you, the only thing they will admit is they loved you too much. They weren't hard enough on you. That's why they're the way they are. That's the best you're going to get out of them, if you get that. My mother told me on several occasions to make a list of her supposed abuses. Obviously, I won't give her the satisfaction of doing that. Yeah, don't. She knows what they are. She knows what they are. You give her a list so then she can go through it and figure out how to gaslight you point by point. No, thank you. No, thank you. She'd probably read it with glee every night before bed. Now she's got her whole church fooled about what a saint she is. I'm sure she used me to gain sympathy with that new crowd. I also won't let her see my daughter because I made that mistake when she was younger and my mother started abusing her too. I will probably never be able to forgive them. Why would you? They're not even sorry. Forgive them for what? They accept responsibility for nothing. What are you going to forgive them for? For yourself? Bullshit. If you can do that, then do it. If you can, in your heart of hearts, say, I forgive them because it's best for me, then go ahead and do it. But if you're going to tell yourself, I'm going to forgive them because, and you're going to lie to yourself, that's only going to come back and bite you in the ass even worse down the road. Happens every time. because you can only bullshit yourself for so long. How can you forgive someone who's not sorry? Thank you. How could you forgive someone who's not sorry? And they're doubling down on their abuse by denying it. My brother told them to call me and apologize. They called and did that, then said, maybe someday you could tell us what we did. What a joke. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I tell you, an apology without an allocution is meaningless. This is why when you plead guilty to a crime in court, they make you allocute. They make you admit exactly what you did so you can close the book and there's no, I only did this and I was pressured into that. Even though we know that happens in the court system, that's why they do it. An apology for the sake of an apology is meaningless. If they're not going to stand there and admit what they did, what is the point? So they can tell you couple months, couple weeks, couple years down the road, which they will. They only said it to make you happy or to try to fix things or be the bigger person. Get wrecked. Thanks again for your channel. It's a good laugh at these people. At least it helps me. Not much love, Freya. Well, thank you for your story and contribution, Freya. But you got to understand, and your brother, a couple things. Your brother's got to understand and really look at who his ex-wife is. Is she just a younger version of his mother? I guarantee she is. Is your mother just another version of your father's mother? Which it's a cycle. So the first thing your brother's got to realize is this whole family is stuck in a borderline personality mothered cycle that needs to be broken. Second thing you need to realize is that they thrive. The borderline boomer happiness is directly linked to your misery. And third is, why would you forgive anybody who's not seeking forgiveness? And fourth, don't accept an apology unless they're admitting what they did. An apology without an allocution is meaningless. Your parents are in their mid-70s. They ain't going to be around very much longer, God willing. Remember, death doesn't absolve them of anything. They're going to be getting sick. They're going to be looking for pity. They're going to be looking for people to take care of them. Better not be you or your brothers. They made their bed. Make sure they die in it. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your contribution and your story, Freya. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel here and both my channels on Rumble, Twitter, and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.